So a very good evening to all meditators. This evening I shall discuss about the practice of mindfulness meditation with a simile. This is a simile of the chicks. The simile of the chicks. So, at the beginning of the practice, mindfulness meditation have not yet attained much mindfulness, have not yet attained much concentration and experiences. Sometimes meditators may think what's the benefit of practicing satipatthana meditation and so on. This because of the mental defilements that's quite strong or quite overwhelming. So the commentaries explained with the simile of the chicks. So in the words, Vipassana meditators like the hand hatching the eggs. So if the hand does not brood or sit on the eggs long enough, then it's not possible for the chick to break the shell. So the egg shells, like the ignorance, Avijja, and the egg white is just like the sticky substance. So this sticky substance, like the craving or greed or tanha. So at the beginning of the practice, the mindfulness is still weak. Concentration is not yet deep enough. So just like the egg, just like the hand, the hand has to brood or sit on the eggs long enough. If the hand broods the eggs for a short while, then go somewhere else, then come back again, and broods on the eggs again, or sits on the eggs again for a short while, then leave somewhere else again. In that way, the eggs will not be matured for hatching. So eventually, the egg may become rotten and cannot be hatched anymore. So similarly, if mindfulness meditators could not put forth continuous effort, then there will be a decline of insight knowledge. So even if a mindfulness meditators has paramis of perfections, then if the mindfulness meditator does not put forth effort, then one also would fall away from the progress of insight knowledge. So you are here to join the retreats. Most of you have been participating in various retreats many times. It shows that you have the paramis. So if you do not put forth effort in the practice, then one may fall away, maybe falling away from the insight knowledge. One needs to put forth a constant effort, continuous effort. At the beginning of the practice, meditators may not have a clear experience. So they need to be patient and be mindful and note from one moment to next moment and from one object to next object. Sometimes meditators have to put forth effort to direct the mind to the objects of meditations. And meditators also need to put forth effort so that the mindfulness stay with the most distinct object. If the effort is not enough, then the mindfulness will be easily distracted by less distinct object. But when the effort is enough, the mindfulness always stay with the most distinct object. When the mindfulness is progressing or improving, sometimes meditators realize that the mind or the mindfulness goes to an object by itself. Then meditators should be quick enough to note that object. For example, when meditators are mindful of the movements of the abdomen, rising movements, falling movements, then meditators knows there's a strong pain arising. When meditators knows there's a strong pain arising, we can say that the mindfulness has gone there. Then meditators have to note that pain, perceiving the process of painful sensation as it duly occurs. So, at the beginning of practice, meditators may think that I'm the one who directs the mind to the object. I'm the one who directs the mind to the object. Then, sometimes meditators have the idea that my abdomen is moving forward, my abdomen is moving inward, and so on. This is because meditators are still in ignorance of the true nature of mental and physical phenomena as they really are. Due to ignorance, meditators identify this mental process of mindfulness as I, or my mindfulness. Due to ignorance, meditators identify the rising movements and the falling movements of the abdomen as a person, or my abdomen is moving. So this ignorance, like the eggshell. So because of ignorance, one as if is living in the darkness or cannot see the light. So meditators need to be patient and perseverance. In other words, keep on mindful and note from one moment to next moment, from one object to next object. So when the mindfulness is gaining the strength, then sometimes meditators realize that the mindfulness has the ability to go to the object by itself. Then meditators should be alert enough and follow the mindfulness and note the object. But if the effort is not strong enough, then that mindfulness may stop by itself. In other words, may not go to another object by itself. The meditators have to put forth effort to direct the mindfulness to another distinct object again, or if there is no distinct object, then have to direct the mindfulness back to the basic object, such as movement of abdomen, or sitting and touching during sitting meditations. Sometimes meditators may have to make labeling whenever they are mindful of the objects. Here labeling means mentally say rising, falling, or pain, as the meditators are mindful of these objects. And sometimes an object is arising and passing away very instantly, and meditators could not make the mental labeling, then they need not have to make the labeling. Although meditators did not make the mental labeling, but they have mindful or becomes aware of the arising and passing away of the object. So in other words, the mind has taken the mental note. So this taking of mental note itself is mindfulness or awareness. So this mental note is different from perceptions. As you know, one of the five aggregates is perceptions, aggregate perceptions, or sanya khanda. So sanya or perceptions in the five aggregates means perceiving the form of an object, the shape in the object, and then keep it in the memory or retain it in the mind, so that one can recall it again when one see it again. So sanya or perception here, like the memory or the power of retentive. But in the practice of satipatthana meditation, sometimes we talk about taking mental note or taking mental note. So this mental note seems like quite similar to the perception. But in the practice of satipatthana meditation, this mental note is perceiving the arising and passing away of any phenomena in the previous moment. So in other words, here taking mental note does not mean seeing the shape or the form or seeing in terms of the concept. But here, taking mental note means realizing the arising and passing away of the phenomena in their true nature. But when the mindfulness and concentration are not yet strong enough, meditators could not taking note of the arising and passing away of the phenomena clearly. So only when meditators keep on practicing, increasing the effort gradually, then they could realize the arising and passing away of the phenomena clearly. So that's why some meditation teachers explain that when one has strong perception, one also has a strong mindfulness. So here, perception means taking mental note of the phenomena that had been arising and passing away in the previous moment. But when the mindfulness and concentration are not strong enough, meditators could not realize the instant arising and passing away of the phenomena in the previous moment. Sometimes in the course of practice, during walking meditation, sitting meditation, or mindfulness of daily activities, this experience of perceiving a quick arising and passing away of phenomena may happen for a short while. So sometimes it happened. Some meditators may think that I have forgotten to make the mental labeling. So when there's such thinking arising, I have forgotten to make the mental labeling, then the mindfulness is disrupted or interrupted by that thinking. So meditators should be quick enough to note thinking, so that the mindfulness becomes constant again. So sometimes due to the idea of I directing the mind to this object, to that object, sometimes meditators did not realize that the mindfulness also has the ability to mindful and note the object by itself. So it's important that meditators is working on the constant and continuous mindfulness. So in other words, at the beginning of the practice, meditators cannot let the mind do the job by itself. So meditators need to put forth effort to train the mindfulness, or in other words, to direct the mind to the object. So just like the hand brooding the eggs, the hand may not know that the eggshell is getting thinner or not, and the sticky substance inside the eggs is compared with the craving or loba in this case. So similarly, the hand also doesn't know how much the sticky substance has been driving. So this sticky substance, like craving or attachments to various existence. So in the teaching of Abhidhamma, the Abhidhamma always explains the mental states in terms of characteristics or lakkhana or rasa function or paccupatthana, manifestations, and padatthana, the proximate cause. So similarly, greed has the characteristics of grasping an object. So just like the bird lime is something is very sticky to catch a bird, or just like the monkey lime, the hunter use the monkey lime to catch the monkey. So the function or the rasa of greed or craving is sticking. That's why we say sticking. So similarly, when one has strong craving or attachment, then one could not be free from this cycle of birth and death. One would take rebirth in the 31, any planes of the 31 planes of existences again and again. So the Abhidhamma gives a simile to explain about the stickiness, just like the meat put in a hot pan. So the meat will stick to the hot pans strongly. So that's why this lobha, such as craving or attachment, is manifested as not giving up. So it's not giving up. It's not easy to give up attachments or craving. So Abhidhamma explains a simile like the dye of the lamb black. So the proximate cause of craving, attachment is seeing enjoyment in things that lead to bondage. So one takes delight in various sense objects. One indulge in it. Then gradually this bondage will develop. So this bondage is like the sticky substance in the eggshell, in the egg. So similarly, craving, attachment is also very sticky. That cause a being taking birth again and again in various planes of existences. So as the hen is brooding the eggs, sitting on the eggs, the hen doesn't know how much of the sticky substance had been drying up. Similarly, mindfulness meditators may not know how much of the sticky craving or the sticky attachment had been drying up at the beginning of the practice. It's because mindfulness meditators have not gained much experiences or insight knowledge. But if mindfulness meditators have patience and perseverance, keep on mindful and note from one moment to next moment, from one phenomena to next phenomena. So when there's constant mindfulness, then it's possible that the eggshell is getting thinner. So similarly, the sticky substance also getting drying up by constant mindfulness. So when mindfulness becomes more and more constant, when there's deeper and deeper concentration, then meditators begin to realize the true nature of the mental and physical phenomena. Meditators begin to realize the specific characteristics of the phenomena clearly. For example, the process of the rising movements becomes clearer and clearer, or the process of falling movements becomes clearer and clearer. So meditators begin to realize that at each movement there's only a pair process. One process is the object. The object could be a physical process, or physical phenomenon, or mental process such as thinking. And the other process is the process of mindfulness, or the noting mind. So mindfulness meditators have to train the mindfulness so that the mindfulness is perceiving or be mindful of one object or one phenomenon at each moment. In other words, meditators do not take any interest in that object which is less distinct than the movements of the abdomen. If the pain becomes more distinct or more dominant than the movements of the abdomen, the mindfulness, in other words, the mind, would notice it immediately. The meditators have to note that pain as it really occurs. But sometimes meditators exercise a tight control over their mindfulness. They exercise a very tight control over the mindfulness. So even that they know the pain is getting stronger, then they have to bring the mindfulness from the movement of abdomen to their other pain. But if the mindfulness is active and alert, when the pain is stronger than the movement of abdomen, the mindfulness will appear at the strong pain there. It's no longer with the movement of abdomen anymore. So sometimes meditators have to know or learn from their experience that they have to follow the mindfulness whenever the mindfulness goes to the strongest object. That's why mindfulness is manifested as a mental state turning towards the object. Meditators need not have to bring the mindfulness from one object to next object. But sometimes meditators need to put forth effort or to direct the mindfulness to the object. Sometimes meditators need to put forth effort to direct the mindfulness to the object, or when the mindfulness is not able to go to the object by itself. So mindfulness meditators need to know that when to put forth more effort or when to sustain that effort. So when meditators make progress in mindfulness meditation and gain more experiences, then relatively the defilements also getting lesser or weaker. For example, if a meditators make progress in satipatthana meditation, mindfulness meditation, the craving for sensual pleasures could be getting less or weaker. For example, worldlings or puthujjana has many craving for pleasant visible object, craving for sweet sound, and craving for good taste, and so on. So sometimes people can drive far away in order to enjoy certain taste of the food. But if that person begins to learn to practice mindfulness meditation and make progress, so if that person make progress in mindfulness meditation and gain experiences of insight knowledge, the craving could be getting less. So just like the hand rooting the eggs. The sticky substance is drying up. So similarly, when mindfulness meditators are able to practice mindfulness constantly, that sticky substance, the sticky craving, also getting less and less, or becomes weaker and weaker. It is because by the constant practice, the ignorance also overcome gradually by insight knowledge or wisdoms. So when the insight knowledge is progressing, then when the insight knowledge is progressing until one attains the supramundane wisdoms, then that supramundane wisdoms will overcome the ignorance. So similarly, with the maturations of insight knowledge, then these wisdoms or supramundane wisdoms will break the self of the ignorance, and one attains enlightenment. If one has not yet attained the highest stage of enlightenment, and only attain the first stage of enlightenment, then at that time one overcomes the ignorance and craving that can lead one to be born in the Apaya world. So in other words, mindfulness meditators can know their practice from their personal experience. As you practice mindfulness meditation constantly, continuously, then this sticky craving or sticky attachment should become less and less, less sticky and less sticky. In other words, the craving for sensual object that can lead to more bondage also becomes less and less. So in other words, ignorance also becomes less and less. It is because when there's progress of insight knowledge and wisdom, then ignorance becomes less and less. In other words, one becomes to see the light. It's like the eggshells. When the eggshell is getting thinner and thinner, then the chicks would able to see the light. So, in other words, mindfulness meditators need to be patient, need to keep up the effort to practice constantly and continuously. As you mindful and note continuously, definitely your defilements, such as craving or attachments, or lobha or tanha, is getting less and less. The ignorance also getting weaker and weaker. So it's important that you have the confidence in the practice. And most important is to follow the right way, or to develop the mindfulness from one moment to next moment. So when you could realize the true natures of the phenomena, as well as the true natures of the mental states of mindfulness, then you would make more and more progress. So you have to bear in mind that mindfulness or sati is also one of the mental states which has the characteristics of anicca, dukkha and anatta. So these mental states of mindfulness is arising and passing away depending on the object. or the phenomena. There's no I or a self behind the mindfulness. So this mindfulness does not belong to a self or I or entity. It is a natural process of natural mental process by itself. At the beginning of practice, you may not able to realize the mindfulness as a natural mental process. But when you follow the right way of practicing Satipatthana meditation, you come to realize that mindfulness is also a natural mental process which arising and passing away depending on an object or phenomena, and it is not permanent. So I wish all meditators rightly understand the right way of developing the mindfulness, so that you could make more and more progress and overcome mental defilements or the ignorance or the craving, and attain enlightenment.
สาธุ สาธุ สาธุ